3:30, 2013. 12 dialogues. 1. You're never boring. I really do hope that I'm not. I do admittedly question myself upon that potentiality of mine, that is, of my boringness, as though applicable to my art, my music creations, and writings. Only boring to those who are not willing to hear, or read, or wonder. Boring perhaps only to those who will never be able to try. Strongly agreed. These persons not willing to hear, or read, or wonder, now canonized but of no use. I say, leave them all behind. The handful of us that remain. At the end times, they will be swept away. Until then, we suffer them. This is cathartic, even so. Indeed. Pain divine. Pain is the godliness. A cleansing of all the debris and human waste that pollutes us now. Right. We suffer them. We do not compromise with them. Nothing is in store for us. We shall not change our ways for them. We eliminate them completely and absolutely over the course of time, through each and every possible means, that of which certifies us of a complete and absolute victory over them. Wonderful words. Therefore, the means and the method practiced of necessary becomes ever more distinct, peculiar, and genuine. I do not know of them, of their flesh and blood any further. Bondage, morality's disassociation. The lordship of morality's association, as always, of course. I never compromise with them. I try to keep them at arm's length, as actual people in the living flesh. As to their ideas, I shut down and off completely. Their ideas do not invade my life. I'm impervious to the slave mentality and to the dross that flows by. Very truthful. This, as to their ideas, shut down and off completely, is a strong practice of the ascetic ideals. It is, and it sits well with me. Make us stronger through this method. It does. I'm quite capable of shunning it through years of practice. March 21, 2013. 2. John Bauer himself. I have some of his paintings as of lately saved to my desktop, actually. One picture of his wife. 7 other pictures of more heroic solar sun damsel in distress subject matter. Oh, John Bauer is a magical artist, quite Wagnerian in his vision. He's a magical artist, John Bauer. And I love his little human children, luminous in the darkness of the wood. Yes, there's something about his artwork that of which I recall observing in some of his paintings of holy guardian angel subject matter, particularly so in attribution to his blonde, white-dressed females, as well as armored Siegfried-esque heroes coming into contact with such angels. So very Scandinavian. What a tragic end he and his family had. Just so terrible. Yes, he had died at such a young age. We required of his gift to men of merely less than a dozen years of his while at his spiritual prime. Exactly, just imagine what else he might have given us. Just like Wagner. Although he didn't die young, he had so many more years left. We could have otherwise acquired many further additional years of his work. Indeed, I wish the greatest of men would never die. As Wagner, I would have certainly admired and revered absolutely the victors, had this opera of his subsequent to Parsifal ever been completed by him. Tragic. How mystical, what incomprehensibility of such would have been. The music of such especially so. Tragic indeed. March 22, 2013. 3. Merciful and loving. Yes, I am, because as Nietzsche said, animals are innocent. Only humans deserve wrath and contempt. I apprehend this peculiar phrase as such, that all animals do ascend to the up above, whether lion or robin. I understand this proposition to have been formerly valid, ultimately so, I reason. A lovely phrase. Though such proposition is still quite peculiar to me, I question whether the human generation itself has identity and soul alone, belong together with character and intellect, physique and consciousness. I would please to think otherwise, in fact, that the animal generation predicates of identity and soul as well, whether truthfully or so not, in order simply to feel warmer and more loving to them, the animals, as the animal generation is clearly innocent and naive and so forth, as mentioned of Nietzsche having stated of such. Yes, well, I believe they are now discovering that animals have far more intelligence than we ever credited. They obviously communicate in ways we can never understand. As to the soul, I have no understanding of what that is. It is a term used by monotheistic religions, but what is the soul? Indeed, Indeed, they obviously communicate in ways we can never understand. Such is quite understandable to us, though with appropriate practice and knowledge of their methods. The dog, for instance, the dog's hearing senses sharpness and acuteness extends 4 times that of the humans. The scent senses sharpness and acuteness hundreds, if not sometimes thousands, tens of thousands of times stronger than the humans. Yes, essentially at the same time I've observed that the dog's senses altogether would appear almost defective to us humans, for such as sensations of the dogs is so strange initially to us, were we to experience our sensations as similarly so of the dogs, that as though in relativity to the hearing sensation, they are present at these very evident, ever-fluctuating sound frequencies, everywhere, always, and very loudly, and such perceptively ranges far distant and remote, and so forth. It is strange and amazing. The passions or the passivity of other substances are sensed exceedingly simply to the dog, through the hearing sense, foremost primarily so through the scent sense, as well as through the sight. Perhaps the passions or passivity of the others, whatever such may be, is physically manifest and actually evident to the dog through red and blue or green or yellow colors, such colors thrown out and sensed by the dog upon the other subject's alteration of passion or sentiment, and so forth. And this applicable to the scent sense, foremost primarily so, of course, as well. It is hard to believe that all this can come from the sense of scent, though the alteration of the passion, of course, not scented through means of colors, such as simply is inconceivable. There are so many things we cannot comprehend. I read of a study the other day where humans acted out a little scenario in front of a particular monkey. First one human did a drawing, and another came along and praised it. Then he did another drawing, and another human came along, frowned, and tore it up. All of this in front of the monkeys. Later, the humans brought food to the monkeys. The monkeys would only take food from the hands of the artist and the kind person. They refused food from the hand of the human who had torn up the drawing and turned away from him. So it seems that our kindness and decency towards each other had an impact on these animals. They understood our emotions only too well. Yes, of course, I have read some time ago from some article that which, as I was mentioning of the dog, though this applies to the animal in general, as I understand of this, that activities or passions such as irefulness or wrath and irritability and so forth are entirely not likable or agreeable or scented upon by the animal. Relatively to another animal, or here in relativity to the human, I understand of this that ultimately cheerfulness and upliftedness or a highness and lightness of this spirit are most strongly assented to and agreeable to the animal. Yes, the birds too, especially corvids. Such code of ethic or method of custom the human can learn from and adapt to. Yes, indeed, this is applicable to the bird, the avian, very strongly, absolutely so. It is wonderful to know how intelligent crows and other corvids are. Yes, I recollect of learning from a specific study that which the crow can preserve and subsequently recognize the voice of specific various humans over the course of time. I read a book once called Almost Human, and they are the most wonderful bird. I feed crows every morning on my way to work. To me, as Northern European, they are a sacred bird. Wotan always had 3 around his head, following and doing his bidding. Yes, crows recognize a good human from bad, a friend from foe, or were they ravens? Yes, ravens, I think, but still corvids. Big corvids. The crow really, Wotan, 3 around his head. Yes, they were his creatures. The crow, the raven. I understand that such the two are essentially reciprocable of speciation, I suppose. Yes, they are all the same species, the corvid family. Though the crow is a sacred bird of the West, this is quite understandable to me, actually. The corvid family, yes. Yes, and understandably so, as he has high intelligence. Charles Dickens had one as a pet for years, a raven. It lived in his barn. He wrote his book Barnaby Rudge about a raven. Such is true. The crow, the Westerner, both have high intelligence. Yes, that is correct. The crow is the perfect companion for the Western man. Charles Dickens' Barnaby Rudge sounds quite interesting. It is a wonderful book. The crow, the perfect companion for the Westerner. Interesting. Yes, I believe so. The crow, clearly so the dog, or ultimately so here the wolf archetype. Animals practical to the evergreen forest climate and so forth, I think. You're absolutely right about that. There is that link between them. Yes, indeed. and simply to listen detachedly and distantly to someone or somebody speaking the Garment language, or a language similarly identifiable with the Garment language. The wolf archetype is found everywhere in reminiscence of them. Through these languages, the Teutonic order of human language, English as well, thankfully and cheerfully so, personally and intimately part of our own life experiences here. Oh yes, there was always a bond between them. It is in the blood of the Teutonic races. I'm very glad that my folk came from the Germanic tribes. Indeed, I'm very glad similarly so too. Our Anglo-Saxon language has so much a part of the German. Shameful so many French words crept in after the Norman invasion, though of course Normans were not originally French. They were Norsemen, however they ruined our Anglo culture. That I would gladly sacrifice this life of mine in order to carry a sword together with a community of metaphysical, mystical, coniferous Germanic warriors. Oh, that sounds so noble and honest. Hacking and slashing the enemy in the coniferous forests. March 23, 2013. For the strawberry blonde. Very nice, I think. I love blonde hair. Your hair is very blonde in your avatar here. The hair is in fact sufficiently light of color indeed. Especially so with the dryer the hair, I comb it and fix it up to be after showering. I remember a black and white film I liked called The Strawberry Blonde with James Cagney, made in the days when Hollywood was still white. Oh yes, you have blonde hair, Odin. You're a fine example of our race. The Strawberry Blonde with James Cagney. Sounds familiar. I might have seen this one some time ago. He married the girl with the strawberry curl and the band played on. And I have blonde hair. I think that I essentially do have such in fact. Yes, and fine, very fine you look too. I like the quote, and thank you, very fine I look too. My face is capable of being quite exceedingly handsome. Honestly, I do apprehend of this. Yes, you have prominent and striking bone structure. You are a Renaissance man. Now, posture, gesture, ethics, speech too, if all such is successfully practiced by me within their own distinct own ways. Yes, the cheekbone structure, the long and tall face, the sharp nose too. You're lucky to have all that and height. You're the kind of man who turns heads when you walk in a room. I know that. Imagine you in a tuxedo. The ladies would swoon, I'm sure. The long hair, always customarily a part of me. And the growing beard and mustache, soon of Moses' length. Ha ha. This I'm actually quite determined over time to achieve, insofar as such Moses' length beard, and I do think this is still predicates of the ladies would swoon, I am sure. Well, I must tell you that I don't like long beards. I don't think many ladies do, but you must do what you wish. Also, I think your face can take anything, even a long beard. I love long hair. I see and understand of your opinion. Indeed, the beard is the tricky question of mine for the time being, though the long hair with certainty not at all questionable to affirm that such is affirmable, certainly so. Your long hair should stay forever. It frames your face in such a way to make you a maestro, a stunning European man. Though of course it should stay forever within bounds of limitation, not limitlessly long. Oh yes, your hair is wonderful as it is now. Yes, I sent to you here. I reason that the hair essentially shoulder length is ideal and efficient for me. Oh, it is. Longer than such, then questionable looks arise as to the masculinity, femininity balance, as well as to questionable looks of cleanliness. Clearly cleanliness is something of which I ardently and strongly affirm, forever, always. Couple that with a shorter beard for cleanliness' sake, and you are the very epitome of masculine grace. Oh, so you suggest possibly that I should shave the beard somewhat, as from such length that the beard is as of now? Yes, trimmed slightly, and you would look ideal. A closer beard, and everything would be perfect. I remember seeing a film of you at the college, playing the piano for a singer, I think. I remember thinking how handsome you were as you walked toward the piano. Yes, the inside, the rise and incline of a wound in wilting video. The college student recital film. One of only two that were produced and filmed with me a part of such. I recall the Lohengrin Vorspiel that I played for the audience during one of the recitals. My goodness, had only such a performance been recorded and taped by the college. Damn it, to think we could have had that on tape. The outfit was outlandish, I recall. There was a tuxedo indeed, and makeup, and cross necklaces, and gloves. The performance itself, I had broken down in tears during the playing of the piece in front of the very audience. Afterward, Afterward, I recollect quite an extended amount of applause. God, you must have looked amazing, simply amazing. Such a disappointment, otherwise it was indeed not to have been taped. You should have been taped. Your looks and your talent all captured on screen. No wonder the audience applauded so much. Yes, indeed, there were identifiable incidences and occasions similar in relation to such a circumstantial occurrence throughout the history of my life. Grandly so the circumstantial occurrence of not ever having a single photograph captured of me during the 10th grade year of my high school. Such an outlandish person I was during that such time, so afterward, because of such negativity of circumstance, I went mad of outlandishness. Therefore, the explanation afterward of my history of all such photography, and so forth of outlandish outfits and human identifications. What a shame these moments were never captured for us now. Wouldn't it be great to look back on them? Such a psychology is similarly practicable to the Wagner experience of mine. That is, the initial experience of listening to the De Meistersinger Vorspiel. I had ended up in such excessive tears, I recall almost in a state of pandemonium and convulsion. Though I was all alone a part of this experience, seemingly so, and therefore the explanation of the mad obsession with the public performance of Wagner afterward, if in order to share with others of this world such initial experience of my own of him, if otherwise never again to acquire such a sentimental and personal experience of musical sound ever again. I can understand the tears. Wagner always has a profound effect on me. I too can remember listening to moments of the ring with tears gushing down my face, unable to think of anything but him. Wagner, this towering genius who filled the room. I think listening to Wagner is akin to a religious experience of sorts, so to be as talented as you are and to be able to actually play his music must be one of the most moving and violently moving experiences. Yes, how could you have done this to yourself? His music asks himself. He can leave me shattered for several hours. Yes, I agree. But now, the music that I can play of him, I'm in tears almost always and everywhere throughout his passages, whether in public or in private. The slow, grand, timeless technique, over time, this generates infallible, ever-manifest effectiveness over me. The Parsifal universality, extension over to the ring, to De Meistersinger, and even to Rienzi, infallible, ever-manifest effectiveness over me. Yes, it would be difficult to play in public with such a reaction. And although this is of no interest to us, I remember reading Placido Domingo and telling the story of how, in his first time of singing the role of Rodolfo in La Boheme, he cried uncontrollably on the stage and could no longer continue until he had composed himself. Latin I know, but I can understand how music can so take you over that you forget yourself. Wagner does this for us. For you to play him in public and be so moved would be very difficult, yet understandable. The Meistersinger von Nuremberg's quintet is particularly powerful, and indeed there were plentiful times in the past, practicing Wagner publicly, that tears and so forth simply were unassailable to experience by me, simply an impossibility otherwise because in its substantialness and sanguinity and so forth of the public environment. Even so, up to now, this point in my time, such dry conditions do manifest within me every now and then from time to time, though if the condition is right, the music is played intelligently and so forth. Even so, within the public environment of chattiness and nonsense, even tears become manifest upon the sound of his music, at last and further again. Well, I think this would affect the audience and create an amazing electrically charged atmosphere. Such condition does this in fact. The most prior experiences that I've had the occasion to play the piano of Wagner at the college and university, the sounds of the public environment hush, prolongedly and deeply so, all silence and respect, perhaps possibly even feelings or sentiments of tears and religious and shivering experienced by such public individuals out in the hallway and within other practice rooms and so forth. I'm not sure if you would want to put yourself through all that though, but it would certainly convey passion to the audience. So it did make itself felt. The playing of Wagner by now is truly profound, advanced, and matured. I simply cannot listen to other pianists play Wagner in transcriptions anymore, as though I am the measure of this very subject matter in practice. I'm wishing now to do a fresh and up-to-date recording of the Wagner program that I practice. Clearly so this recording will have been done while at my house, if the old piano of mine is to have been acquired once again, and at last. Clearly something of which that excites me and fascinates me exceedingly. Oh, I shall be aching to hear this. I adore you playing of Wagner and can't get enough of it. I'll be so happy for you when you finally get your piano installed. To play and to practice in complete and absolute religious silence again at last. Yes, this is by far the best way. Absolute silence. Yes, indeed, and clearly because of such ideal, sane, cleansed conditions, the quality of the music's sentiment and so forth will have been at the highest prime and maximum. The formal cause and shines brilliantly without reserve or hush or fear or irritability. All such latter qualities are so clearly unnecessary, undesirable qualities, I think. Oh, that is wonderful. No worry about what others are thinking. No pressure. This will be of enormous benefit to you. Enormous. I think your playing on your recordings will improve eventually. It is great now. Just think what it will be like when you have your own piano and can practice any time you like. March 24, 2013. 5. A very powerful presentation. A great prayer to the sun. Such a feeling of the ancients about the mysterious architectural landscape. You are a man of the forest here, very much at home and looking so fearsome. I love the moments where you kneel to the sun, acknowledging its majesty and power. The music is riveting. You have done very good editorial work. Wonderful. The Warrior That Was Me is quite a favorite of mine. The editorial work in the film, I reason, is quite expertly done, so as though essentially professional at last. I love the sitting scene, especially a part of the sitting scene, the final blow of air from the horns, as though this is truth. I know that I am the one, that I am the strongest, and so forth. As well, a favorite is the madness of the prayer at the cliff scenes, the intensity of the Khan warrior seated at the throne later in the video, overseeing the barbarian combat too, acknowledging the sun and its power. I like the scene. I love especially the parts where I simply walk away from the rock as though this is not working. I'm too old for this. Also, rise up, O powers from the land of Till. The shot of the sun appearing into the very mysteriousness of it. March 25, 2013. 6. I tend to wear the keffiyeh around my shoulders out in public regardless wherever that I head out to now. There's a good quality wearing this article of clothing, quite religious of essence. There are good relations acquired and received from others when wearing such around me, as though a scarf, though unwound around me, very fresh and clean of appearance. Wow, you must look stunning. March 27, 2013. 7. Easter is really Ostara. It celebrated the goddess Ostara, who represented renewal and rebirth. The egg is her symbol, and that is why today we have estrogen, named after Estra, or Ostari. When Christianity spread here, they took up this festival to make themselves more agreeable to the pagans they were trying to convert. It has nothing to do with Christianity. I see Ostari. Rebirth and renewal practical to the spring equinox must be. The egg is quite a primary symbol of this tradition, mysterious concerning as such, particularly so. And clearly so, Christianity has, of course, a strong tendency to have succeeded to antecedent pagan holidays and traditions with such religion's own generative understanding of such earlier pagan holidays and traditions. Yes, indeed. In English, the word Easter came from Estre, related to German Ostara. According to a popular piece of folklore, Estre once saved a bird whose wings had frozen during the winter by turning it into a rabbit. Because the rabbit had once been a bird, it could still lay eggs, and that rabbit became the modern Easter bunny. Though the Christian understanding of such holidays, I don't know. Ultimately, a holiday is permissible to have been celebrated to me. I wonder of this. Indeed, this knowledge of the Ostara Easter holiday tradition, all this aforementioned of you is perfectly sensible to me now. Yes, it is a fascinating subject. So many of our ancient pagan rituals and festivals had to be embraced by the early Christians if they were to win us over. However, they also murdered us in our thousands too, when we wouldn't accept their god. Yes. Our gods carried hammers, roamed the earth completely one with us. We were all gods then. They wanted us to worship a man hanging on a tree. To us originally that was inconceivable. Our gods were strong, and we did not prostrate ourselves in front of them in terror. We loved them and celebrated with them. It is a deep and complex subject, but a fascinating one all the same. Yes, indeed, the subject is deep and complex, concerning righteousness and wickedness, truthfulness and falsehood, and so forth all together. Far more strongly so the diametrical relationship between heathenism and non-idolatrous religion. Yes, they are so different. They inflicted a desert god upon us. Very close, intimate the subject is to me. We had never crouched in fear of our gods. Our gods loved us. They danced and celebrated with us. Rasputin, the Russian monk, is very interesting too. He was a Christian monk, but never lost his pagan roots. He was a fascinating man. Well worth a read. He would dance in the forest at night, feeling himself to be one with the trees and the animals. I love this subject. I know that it is close to you, darling. We must talk more about this. Ever the more selflessness and transcendental immaterialism as predicable to ultimate universal reward and universal affirmative retribution. Never the more predicable to eternal universal punishment or universal negative condemnation. I know of the irrefutable truthfulness of this aforementioned proposition, foremost absolutely so by this point in my time, from both potential imagination and from actual evidence and experience of such a resolution. I ask you, with truest, most love and mercy, do you not conceal and hide your otherwise benevolence of creation from me. Never conceal and hide such from me from this point in time onward, of such revelation or recognition to have been always and everlasting, elemental and fundamental love to you. Many kisses until later. March 28, 2013. 8. I have some news in relative to the piano situation. I had written to the landlord yesterday in request of understanding of such a situation. I had received her reply as of yesterday too. Unfortunately, this is not of good news. She writes, "I'm sorry, but I cannot allow the piano at the place." What? The flooring of the cabin simply cannot support the weight of the piano. Now, she didn't mention on the good side here. Now, if you bring in a small portable Casio-type electric keyboard, such will be fine. Though, of course, such quality of piano is unacceptable to me. Therefore, I shall write to her. I have this consideration of moving in, and of course, then purchasing beforehand a full 88-key range electronic keyboard. This keyboard must necessarily have an acceptable quality to me. I have owned such kind of pianos in the past. They, in regard to recording quality, in fact, depending on the brand of keyboard, potentially sound even better than acoustic upright piano quality recordings, specifically so in relation to my own microphone, so such is planned for the time being. The electronic keyboard itself may in fact be helped paid for, again, of course, by my Kopecky Night-Ear father. I must mention this to him beforehand, of my Kopecky Night-Ear father, who is originally first and foremost and finally most of the banner. Again, so then therefore, again, of course, by my Kopecky Night-Ear father. By my Kopecky of the banner father. By my Kopecky Night-Ear father. I must mention of this to him beforehand. Well, okay, if it has to be, then that is what you must do. However, you have to find the money to purchase that electronic keyboard. This is so strange. For one, I shall not continue to affirm practicing the piano at the college environment. We know of what I feel of such environments. Yes, it would be better not to have to go there. And again, this is strange here too. The sofa and the couch and the television set now out in the living room, such furniture and so forth, are clearly weightier and heavier than that of what would have been of any wooden upright piano positioned at the place. I cannot understand this disappointment from her. That question itself unresolvable to me, incomprehensible. I agree. How strange. Perhaps I had written to her too soon, too subtly. Impatience of such temperament has resolved into such strange malevolence of her consequence. The furniture must indeed be heavy. I can't tell. It would be peevish of an adult woman to act in such a way. Ridiculous. Yes, of course, such furniture, heavy. Well, her reply was extremely disappointing to me. I sat in frustration and disbelief for several minutes upon perception of her news. Perhaps she thinks it would be noisy for the neighbors, but if she thought that, she should have said so. Anyway, your neighbors are very distant. I do not reason such a piano would have been thought noisy to the neighbors around here. In fact, no. Yes, my neighbors are distant. Not very distant, though clearly distant enough to tolerate it of such an instrument at the place. I'm determined to somehow obtain a piano for private, home-centered study. Yes. Not a piano of what the landlord had recommended to me, but impermissible of a wooden upright piano. Clearly not a grand piano, nor a baby grand. Of course not. Just to mention for thoroughness. They do say that electronic keyboards can be excellent, but there is nothing like a real piano. So right, darling, there's truly nothing like a real piano. Why couldn't she suggest just moving things around to leave a place for a piano that had obviously taken heavy furniture? I do not know. I'm quite desirous to write about this to her as of now. Probably will. Yes, being charming, of course, as only you can. I do not wish to conflict with her, though, of course not. Will always remain sensible and reasonable with her, yes. Winning her around with your kind and pleasant manner. Oh yes, she must surely listen. Of course I shall do this. Win her over with this. Yes, I've seen people support the floors in such buildings with large planks of wood. I wonder if she would be open to such a suggestion. Probably. probably not, and whether you could obtain such would. I will mention of the intention to place the piano essentially where the furniture in the living room had been beforehand placed. Yes, I do not know about such a suggestion, whether open or not to her. Ultimately, probably not. If such is to be the case, that's probably not. Then, of course, then of only one ultimately potentially available option is to have been considered. That is, the intention to have acquired a Technics electronic piano, or Roland electronic piano, the digital full scale, of course, upright of stature, and similarly identifiable with that of an upright, clear and crisp of sound, reliable and durable, and so on and so forth. There are recordings of me playing in the past upon one of these aforementioned just now described brand of instruments when I had only the option available to choose upon to acquire such. This at the San Marcos place, particularly so. Yes, that would be the answer, though not satisfactory. It would be lighter. I remember the sound of such recordings, their sanity, calmness, peacefulness, equanimity, and so forth, attributable inevitably so to the adjustments of my playing in relativity to electronic digital piano instruments. That this ultimately might be a very good thing to me to have acquired such a specifiable brand of instrument at the place, if possibly to have done so. I was thinking deeply to myself just now. I shall conclude upon such thoughts in a little while later. Yes, I think this may be the answer, the best one, anyway. Do you think your Quebec Vanier father will or can help you purchase this? Yes, the best answer, unfortunately not the greatest. And my Quebec Vanier father, indeed, I do assume with almost complete certainty that he will in fact help me with this purchase. Again, if such a purchase is to have been understood and permissible to do so ultimately, that would be the best news. I will write to the landlord about this next best option available to me to consider pursuing, and I will write to my Quebec Vanier father in the meantime, confirming of assistance to. Good. I'll be very excited if you do get it. Even though it is not a real piano, it still gives you freedom, the ability to compose and to improvise in your own home. Yes, of course, I know such is ultimately not what I've hoped for, though there is still a sufficient enough instruments to have been obtained at the place, agreed upon truly. Yes, well, you must be thankful that you have this option. I am thankful for this option. March 29, 2013. 9. Such a powerful difference here concerning the infrastructure and so forth, the construction histories of buildings than that of over in the United Kingdom. The United States itself, of course, is so very young in comparison to the United Kingdom and the rest of the old world Europe. 400 years, supposedly, in the past, nothing here in the area but vast and profound wilderness, unsettled forests and mountains, grasslands and valleys. Of course, various amounts of primitive humans scattered about here and there. During such time in the old world, Sistine Chapels and Davids, absolute monarchs, and William Shakespeare and Thomas Hobbes, and so on and so forth. Yes, but your land is ancient and massive. That in itself is astounding. Indeed, ancient, and massive here, exceedingly so. Yes, but it has our yes, but it was our blood, the DNA and blood of your ancestors that went to America and built it. The Western mind and ingenious intellect. Yes, I love to hear that confirmed from you, particularly so. Oh, it can be no other way. I have always this feeling of shamefulness for having been brought up around here in such an otherwise exceedingly degenerate and uncultivated community. The extremely intense and powerful struggle that it has always been for me in order to become the real and true archetype of my ancestral identity and so forth. If that was so, then there would be no third world. Western man is superior in every way. The others have not evolved. Oh, you are a Western man, a Renaissance man in every way. Of course not. Such human substantiations are twilight generations. They must be shunned and approached as though such as twilight shadows and nocturnal hunters and so forth. Oh yes, quite right. No, it is impossible. I see you striding about in powdered wig in European palaces, composing glorious music. You are a poet of no common rate. Correct, of course, this is right to me. This is my destiny, clearly so. And I do agree upon these statements of yours right here, mightily so. I've written quite some number of years ago to have mentioned I do not even know as of now where to have acquired a court costume and a powdered wig. This natural identification of such a part of me has been upon my mind for many, many years by now. The further back in the past that of which I recollect myself to have been within, the stronger and more powerfully so does such natural identification aforementioned predicate itself to me. Oh yes, you resemble Napoleon in some sweeping romantic poet, writer, composer. I'm exceedingly so strongly identifiable with formal cause predication, but now, Though the power and the might of my earlier years, ever so powerfully and mightily so, was such, I had weakened myself ever further so during the later months of 2006. Considering the astronomical amount of stress that I had endured during such months, even ever since the later 2006, Tor had disappeared. I was left to myself, powerfully alone. These women at that community college I would practice piano at during such time had successfully overcome my confidence in complete and absolute certainty of my past. I was damaged by them. Couldn't man up ever since. You have such inner strength. You must have, for you did not go under, but have survived, and are here now as testament to your superior strength. Now, power and strength and wisdom and might of spirit call upon me always, everywhere up above. Such is a part of me. I become the real and true archetype, obsessed over such acquisition, ever the more prevalently and legitimately so, eternally recurring so as such by this point in my time. Yes, now lightness and brilliance transcend a part of me together with me. Darkness and malevolence are exceedingly vicious and hostile to me, though they are shunned and denied from me successfully and legitimately, with as much repression from them and eventual, inevitable forgetfulness and deceasement of them as I can obtain over them. If you continue on this path, you can step into the light. You'll feel as though you are carved out of sunlight. We both together are as though the complete and absolute achievement of what Tor and I were to have been incompletely and insufficiently so many years ago in the past. I sense that extreme and paramount significance, strength, and manhood, and credibility, and so forth, a part of my spirit and its character and intellect, and its ultimate identity, will have been acquired and attained as we both together, as you forever always a part of me. The asceticism, the discipline, the stone-cold lordship idealism, ever further to have been achieved and obtained. You sound very positive, as if you have a tremendous self-belief. Truly so I am, and again I do have such tremendous conviction and determination of the up above. The up above, as in God the All-Father. Yes, or God as perceived by the three monotheistic religions, comprehensible as omniscient, omnipotent, omnibenevolent, omnipresent. Well, I view that as the All-Father. Yes, essentially so. And it matters not how he is perceived, and by whom. No, of course not. It is how you personally perceive him, it. Yes, I'm pleased with that. I like this idea, this perception. It sits well with me. It is very pleasing to me to know. We are so happy together in life, Odin. To have another soul or self to bond to, it is a joy. I will never have 1/16 of your intellect, but this seems not to matter. I feel comfortable with you and feel that there is a good reason why I am here. We are not going to experience departure from each other. We are forever and always tied together, a part of each other. I shall continue to make certain of this, everlastingly so. Yes, as though I shall predicate you to a little germ or parasite that is perhaps a part of me, specifically so here, as though such were a part of my head or a part of my hair, as such a location of my physique identifies true in every sense of the term to your human generated substantiation, that of which you have come into being a part of this physical condition of my life. Well, that is a very fascinating concept. Were the comprehension of the term guardianship to still have been supposed, then indeed somehow each and every one, particularly so here, human substantiations are generated as such as somehow further distance and approximate human substantiations as a part of me, though such condition of their generations conceive only so, where a particular specific guardian to have predicated itself closely so and approximately so a part of me, for most primarily so a part of my physical body, or if not, then a part of some position or spot within the bedroom or some room, a part of the house, and so on and so forth. That is very deep, Odin. I'm reading and marveling at you. There's boundless further information that I can comprehend as a part of the nature of this life of mine. March 29, 2013. 10. This music is sublime. I'm 24 minutes in, and it is transporting me. Oh, heavy, just like Antaeus. Ferocity, madness, heaviness, yes, and powerful desperation. Heavy white and desperate. I can feel him, his existence in this very piece. Yes, this is the most despairing piece that I've ever conceived of. I remember reading this story at school. Antaeus is ultimately attributable to I myself, what essentially that I have become at this point in my time. At least I recollect this proposition as creditable to this piece. I have had various abstractions imaginative of a part of me during the actual conception of the piece itself. Perhaps such various abstractions were different and more legitimate than what I remember of them as of now. Interesting. Antaeus is the foremost primary giants of the inferno. Perhaps that as I am truly condemned into this inferno in the afterlife, the premonitions of such found a part of my life here. Aeneas is the foremost primary actualization and punishment of my activity here, a part of this present life, as though he is to have been stomping upon me eternally, everlastingly, indefinitely, his crushing footsteps otherwise forever in the background, resounding when such punishment is not to have been an active manifestation. Also, sounds and conceptions have found a part of this piece that represent the abstraction of truly beyond capable of obtaining repentance, redemption, and salvation. Do you truly see yourself as condemned to the inferno of the afterlife? I don't know. Beyond repentance, I cannot decide whether this life is that of a religious struggle between the up above and the down below for the salvation of my soul, or whether that this life is conceived from nothingness, inexplicable as to its otherwise derivation, that all substantial and generative conception and so forth is predicable to my active and passive volition alone, that after the life extermination, this life is returned to nothingness, inexplicable as to its otherwise subsequent disappearance and subtraction, nothingness. You seem the embodiment of the very finest of men, such a worthy man of a tremendous nobility, superior in every way. I find it inconceivable that you are destined for the fiery pit down below. If we are to look at things from a religious point of view, yes, I agree with you, ultimately so very strongly and powerfully so. Somehow, I don't know, I cannot understand this life. What did I do, and how did I do this, to have subsequently ended up to the point that of which I am set apart of and established within by now? It is very hard. There is clearly complete isolation and absolute dejection, extreme irritability from others, extreme impatience, complete coldness from others. Perhaps this says more about them in the time we live in, as though acquired of the classification untouchable. Dear God, never say that, never. Yes, perhaps, and whether or not falsehood or truthhood, I am willing strongly to assent to your proposition regardless. I see you as apart from other men by your own will, your own volition, essentially truthful, yes, as if there is no way you could exist among them, yes, as if the masked man is your kryptonite. The proposition of the generation category having been predicable singularly so to the category of innate archetypal ideas, I assent to this, though I do not want to believe that. The generation category predicable to distant, detached environments, time and place. I understand a part of my system. I find it predicable to the generation category, the formal cause category, universal affirmativeness, religion, truthhood, and so forth, as though, ultimately, this category is indeed sensed essentially by me to have been detached and removed from me, not a part of me. I do not know, I do not understand, this is so difficult to me. I can see this inner struggle causes you such pain. I ultimately intend to resolve such proposition as not truthful, that even so the external time and place and so forth, the generation of my life, cannot have been any further than predicable to my active and passive volition. This life of mine, complete and absolute madness, though is this elemental and fundamental question of mine ever to have been resolvable, whether innate archetypal ideas or blank slates and tabula rasa. Yes, you see this powerful pain a part of me, within me. Yes, I do, it pains me. I wish you could find the answer. It is as if you are always looking for it in your music. The answer is, though, concerning of other substances, that there is this eternal law of do not ever break the fourth wall to Odin. March 30, 2013. 11. I have your video playing again. I am 48 minutes in. Thank you, 48 minutes. Yes, you have made it very far into this. I think it is a splendid piece. Perhaps one of your best. This is a very splendid piece, yes. Now, as to one of my best, it seems slightly lighter than towards the end. Well, I think there are others equally as good, perhaps slightly better, but I still think it is high on the list. I tend to categorize my recordings into, for now, sufficient enough to have been, two categories: more earlier recordings, more later recordings. More earlier recordings commence essentially from the Comfort and Sublimity demo recordings from May to June of 2006. Then more later recordings commence from the recording Return of the Sentiments, as well as from the recording immediately subsequent to this recording, Peculiar Reflection. These recordings I remember for now to have been recorded from March to May of 2010. The more earlier recordings altogether are clearly exceedingly memorable to me, of their melodies, their abstract ideas, of their sounds, and so forth. Beginning with Return of the Sentiments and the recordings altogether afterward and up to this particular specific point in time, I reason that the more later recordings are ultimately exceedingly incomprehensible and difficult to understand of me, of their melodies, of their abstract ideas, of the sounds, and so forth. So your music over time has changed with your mood and circumstance. Yes, the music over the course of time has changed with the acquisition of further knowledge, experience, and so forth in my life. They are abstract, but the more you hear them, the more complex and beautiful they become. Well, I have to say, the ending of this is sublime. March 13, 2013. 12. I don't think it is good enough, and it will be a very courageous act. That is something you know much about. I'm listening to your latest courageous act, though courage is not needed where you are concerned. Thank you. I shall be leaving a comment on your video soon. The ending is so quiet, so ultimately accepting. After all the bluster and despair comes acceptance. That is how it seems to me. Oh, this Antaeus the Giant's piece, I love that much concerning this piece. After all bluster and despair comes acceptance. Yes, quietness, calmness, and peacefulness. Well, yes, as at the end of Götterdämmerung, where the old gods give way to the new, after the immolation in the ring is restored. It reminds me of Richard III. After life's fitful fever, we sleep well. Beautiful words, thoughts. Yes, Götterdämmerung is much loved by me. It is the most moving. I know, both Siegfried and Götterdämmerung are going to have been the ultimate, final, foremost complete experiences to me of Richard Wagner's operas, particularly so here of Götterdämmerung. His second foremost matured and wizened opera, directly antecedent to, of course, Parsifal. Oh, I do agree with you. They have brought me so much joy, but so many tears. I have wept an ocean for Götterdämmerung, and for Parsifal I could see why Wagner ordered no applause at the end of Parsifal. It is akin to some divine experience. I'm essentially, as though put prolongedly upon hold for the time being, making my way through the ring from commencement to completion. This is an exceedingly tremendous task to do so. I remember having put off the complete listening to the ring at about the third act of Siegfried, if I am to have been correct upon this. I remember these words of yours, I've wept an ocean for Götterdämmerung. Trixioed and I grew so obsessed with Wagner that we listened night after night and at the weekends, day after day, to all of the ring for months. We were exhausted. It wrung from us every emotion, including laughter during Siegfried. But moreover, so many tears. So amazing, incomprehensible is music. The most significant and practical music imaginable part of this life experience, truly foremost so identifiable as such to the two of us. Moments of uncontrollable emotion. Brunhilde, accepting the broken sword. Oh, so many. Too many to write of here. I've come to fits of convulsion, almost verging upon actual physical heart failure because of the intensity of the identification of such music of his. Not something to be shared with the mass man. How could one? Impossible. Wagner reaches only the chosen ones, I'm sure. Yes, I can identify with your words, almost heart failure. Lohengrin and Parsifal, strongly attributable to those moments of convulsion fits, and so forth. The Act 1 finale of Lohengrin. Oh, when Wotan kisses Brunhilde on the rock, his farewell. Oh, every part of the cycle has me in its sway. The Titero de Fromehild of Parsifal. Yes, Wotan's farewell of Brunhilde. Yes, Tinthorel. Also of Parsifal, the Geschichte of Gernamons of the third act. And of course, Tristan und Isolde. That is beyond music. Oh yes, I do agree with you. Tristan und Isolde in the Gleitenwehr chorus of Parsifal. My God, such a segment almost unfailingly sends me into powerful metaphysical tears and religious experience. That is the segment where fits of convulsion are part of me most predominantly take place, the foremost primary segment of all of the Wagnerian operas, really the most monumental of compositions, the music of the All-Father. I believe Wagner was touched by God. He was, as well as was of Nietzsche, of Spengler, of Evola, of Hitler. Yes, indeed, I know that Hitler felt the same, that he knew all of Wagner's music, and that it reduced him to tears, and then ultimately peace. Yes, these men were touched by the All-Father. They have the light of Prometheus in them. Yes, the All-Father, the Father of all, the Father of the substances, the light of Prometheus, the light, the heat, the fire, the radiation, the brilliance, the titanism otherwise burdened to them. Yes, the dark water of the fools resents the light. Yes, these men were of the light. The darkest waters of foolishness, malformation, rejection, castedness, and exiles. The light obliges these men to know themselves the rightest and truthhood. But darker powers have overwhelmed those words of light. Yes, indeed. Yes, now those dark manifestations, these are predicable to doubts, uncertainties, unclarities, irresolute activities, and abstractions all around us. Somehow these have been conceived over the course of time, various millions of substantiations of them. These are capable of breeding and procreation. Somehow these manifestations cannot terminate or disappear or subtract during the course of this life. They are, by now, exceedingly vicious and hostile to him. Western man is now weakened. His once pure soul is now cancerous. Repression of them and essentially termination of them is obtainable. Yes. Somehow, I don't know, I do not assent to the proposition that mercilessness and understanding of them from them can ever again have been obtained. Never. never. And such a determination has come to be this way, necessarily so. This could not have been any other way, never again. Fearsome to comprehend, yes, though darkness is clearly forever predicable to malevolence of creation, and so forth. Indeed. March 13, 20 to 13. 4/10/2013. The Wellspring Oath. I'm missing Freya. I know. It is horrible. I can't think what we did. I'm coming across this understanding to me, or the knowledge that as though Freya has represented a derivative substantiation to me to that of Idun. This is very difficult to speak about to me. Understood. It is as though I understand ultimately one companion to me can have been pure and chaste in order to have loved. Any other substantiation that is not predicable to such originative, formative companion is sin after sin after sin, if to have affirmed such other love. I don't know, I should not speak much further of this. Well, to find a chaste and pure companion in this world is a mighty challenge. But that's all right, Odin. We won't speak of it now. Yes, we'll speak further of this later if we wish to. Yes, of course. I love you, Odin. You're such a beautiful, treasured being. You're very valuable. I love you too, really, I do. You are treasured, valuable, beautiful to me, cleanly and platonically. Understood, and I can say these words to you. It doesn't seem to matter. This is how I feel about you. You're like the sun to me. Right, it is okay. It is not sinful to affirm as such. At least not severely sinful to affirm as such. Indeed, there is no sin in it. Perhaps it is an all-encompassing love. The All-Father has given these emotions, and why deny them? They are natural, and my words are clean and pure and honest. I do agree. Your words to me... clean and pure and honest. My words to you must be clean and pure and honest, and particularly so. Excellent. My prince, I send you mighty and strong love. Understood, I send you mighty and strong and chaste and clean love to you, in abundance of kisses. My kisses to you in return. April 9, 20 to 13. 4/10/20 to 13. I am Siegfried. I was at the college earlier, just some minutes ago as well. The college. Good. I headed down there in hopes of recording this exceedingly beautiful piece of improvisation that I have had in mind. Though ultimately at the college the morning hours had proven themselves excessively malevolent of noise, of horns particularly so, and so forth. Horrible. I had returned without recording an improvisation during then, though during this evening tonight I shall return to the college and make my additional attempts to do so. I should like that. I have considered since my return to simply rent the digital piano beginning today. The fact that you use the word beautiful makes me interested, though beforehand I must certify that the rent altogether will have been affordable to me, particularly so to understand precisely what the cost of the security deposit will have been to rent it. My limit to the security deposit is set at 100 Helheim coin at most. I hope that such a security deposit amount is diminished below this amount. I see. Yes, absolute silence is necessary to me, vital to my music at this point. Yes, you have to rent your home and now rent a piano. You must have a silence. My musical ideas concerning of improvisation had advanced tremendously since of this morning. Wonderful. There are now innate archetypal ideas affirmed a part of my playing. There are motifs, names invoked in the tones themselves. Siegfried particularly so. Ultimately, he is I am him. As though a new religion manifests and as is before his very presence. The horn calls through the woods. Yes, as though Siegfried is here. The birds chirp at him. With him, he does not know of his own father, neither of his own mother, other than her own name, and he does not know of any other men. This is very interesting. Light motif. Also the Rhine maidens. Also the Rhine maiden motives. Also the Rhine maiden motifs. This is vital. It's essentially the mother archetype. She echoes his name to him after his birth. She's hoping highly for him. That's right, amazing. Then also the Wotan motif. This is the father archetype. Wagner brings in all of these at various moments. Yes, the father. He appears to his son after where the mother archetype has been precedent. He is foretelling him of his premonitions of his son. He is proud of his son indeed. He is speaking of his son in this status, though beneath his persona he knows of his son's coming destruction and death. Yes, he does. Then the Albrecht motif manifests. This is critical to the down below, to malevolence and so forth. Indeed. His motive speaks ill of his name. It does. The crafter and the sorcerer of the sun's destruction. Then Siegfried is out and about in the woods afterward. Then this I term Brunhilde motive manifests. Yes, she is Siegfried's love, Siegfried's companion. She is not actually there. She is in the woods, calling for him, echoing his name, and so forth. Then the son, the forest hero, the pure total fool, the founder of this religion, departs from his solitary woods and his forest friends in search of this damsel. Yes, who is his half-sister, or some say aunt. He makes his way into the village. He calls his own name out and about. He receives ultimately nothing but of malevolence, of corruptibility, and so forth, from what he sees about him, from what he sees of them. Ah, yes, indeed this is you. He cannot find her. He cannot find his love. He is dismayed and disillusioned entirely. So then, over the course of time, he intends nothing but of the destruction of them. This is the accumulation of the grave sin, unsalvageable over the course of time. Then, soon enough, the Father actually manifests before him. The Father is before his Son. He speaks to him. He knows all about him. The Father reveals everything to his Son. All of his knowledge of his life is revealed before him. Ultimately, the Son is like a rotten plant at this point. He must be scrapped, casted, discarded. They both recognize this and understand of this. The Father archetype has been terminally ill and sick at this point. The Father must leave his Son. The Son is left alone. Yes, to his condemnation. You feel that you're Siegfried in many ways. The Father and the Son share their one and only life experience together for the final time. Then, over the course of time, the Son dies. There is no further mercy and preserve of him. The church bells ring in the distance. There are chants everywhere. There are lunatics and madmen chanting to him, mocking his very name. Merciless, unforgiving, totally so. Then the Son chimes in. He becomes one of them. Over time, the Son is alone again in the realm of the eternal church bells and the perpetual stomping. Then they return to him. He has enough of this. He cannot tolerate of this any further. The final struggle and conflict. Then suddenly Brunhilde descends into his realm. This is Beatrice of the Divine Commedia. She invokes the up above to them. They cower at her light, in her virtue, and so forth. She informs to him that this is his time, at last, to send to the up above with her, to meet his Father at last in the paradise. Holy sounds are manifest from this point in time onward, always and forever. Anyway, this is my system, always from this point onward, whenever I am to play this music, or here to improvise whatever piece. So you will have these thoughts in your mind when you play. You will take these ideas with you. Yes, I will, always. And work with them as you create. Right. It must be a very intense experience. You must have absolute concentration. Also, the recording mixer of mine is capable of holding up to many hours of tape. I understand that I can, from this point onward, record a piece lasting over the length of 1 hour 20 minutes. I may simply record several hours worth of this music, later edit the tape altogether and create separate tracks, separate compact discs to burn, and then remove the compact discs onto my computer. I understood that I could do this act up until just this morning. That sounds promising. Yes, absolute concentration I must have of this. I may very soon have the digital piano acquired at the place. Well, the college today was no good for you at all. Really, no, it wasn't. I think you should get that digital piano if you can. I'm going to try for this evening at the specific environments, though I'm very concerning of even this hour of the day as well. Yes, I must get the digital piano as soon as I can. It would be dreadful to feel tired when you're trying to concentrate so hard. Are you tired now? I'm not totally tired right now, no. Tonight I will have understandably become further tired. Good. But I suppose that by the time you get to the college later on, maybe, well, we must hope not. Yes, exactly. Right, though we must not hope of that. Wonderful Odin. Sun King. Right, I'm Siegfried. In the form and in the flesh, really I am. I do believe that. The force calls you. You look so right in that landscape. Yes, powerful thoughts these are, though completely truthful. You're Siegfried indeed. Yes, well, you, particularly Brunhilde, particularly Rhine Maiden, particularly Norn, and so forth as aforementioned above. Earth Mother. The mother archetype is Siegfried. The Herzalite. Erdi. Yes, I am. Erdi, I said to this. Take Erdi's, because it's Frigga. Oh, yes. Yes, Erdi. Love and kisses. Always Erdi, Freya, Frigga. Always. April 10, 2013. 4/16/2013. Did you get your sword? Not as of yet, no. Oh, shame. I've not driven to the post office as of yet today, however. It's quite early right now, you know. Haha, yes, so it is. I must wait until later in the day, afternoon. Most probably the shipments of the day will have arrived by then. Yes, indeed. How are you feeling? I'm not feeling well. Oh, I'm in despair. That is not good. What is it? I'm thinking about too much. There's too much negativity of conclusion a part of my life experience. Oh, Owen. Probably so the neighborhood dog and finances must have gotten rid of and improved upon respectively. I've considered this morning many things. The dog barking all day, primarily to relocate. Secondly, to see a counselor. Thirdly, to see a priest. This is not good. Yes, you must. You must do both of those things. I understand, too. I've archived and created documented photography from my past, writings included. I think it would be correct to talk to a priest. My Walker Nightyear mother, she has shunned me. This is terrible, because of those set-in-stone creations of mine. I'm at a loss to know why. The effect over time, since as of August 31 of 2012, oh, this is the harshest thing. Complete shunning from everyone, from everybody. Complete shunning from everyone, from everybody. A mother abandoning her child in real person, then through every means. In real person, then through every means. Financial income is insufficient. I'm always here, albeit on the internet, but I am here. I shall never leave you. Reclusion, the only possibility. I will do what I can for you. Madness within reclusion. I shall help with money when I can. Yes, thank you. Then work, employment out of the question. I love you, Odin. Then schooling out of the question altogether permanently. You're a beautiful man. Madness. I understand all this. Laughter, yes. It is terrible. Then the afterlife. You must see a counselor. Punishments inconceivable. And go to the priest. Everlasting. Anathematized. Condemned. Beyond his grace ever further. I believe there is hope for you. There must be. Offered up as burnt offering. I do not know. There must. Of course there is. Go to the church. Make an appointment to see him. I'm exceedingly afraid. I'm exceedingly alone. Lost. Yes, to the church. No, I am here. You are not alone. No, you're right. Yes, you are here. I will do all I can for you. You must not be afraid. It is as though everyone, they can hear me through the hearing faculty, through the hearing threshold. They can feel me through the feeling faculty, the feeling threshold. Scent and taste applicable too. Those not through the seeing faculty, through the seeing threshold, they cannot see through me through such means. They set themselves up otherwise as as germs or parasites, in order to fulfill such means. They had every will, every action accounted for, fulfilled accordingly. You need help for these thoughts. Yes, I do, really I do. You need someone who understands such things. Everything as though ultimately to myself. Yes, darling. This is not pent up or hidden. I hate this. I hate you to feel such despair. You have so much talent and physical beauty. So much to give the world. Such appreciation of beauty and music. I hear. I'm not the right person. You need someone qualified. No, you're right. That is someone qualified I need for this affliction. Darling, yes, I think peace must come. I think peace may come from talking to a priest. He can calm you, perhaps, give you hope. Yes, to a priest. Please do it for me. Counselor out of the question, I wonder. Not sure. It might be good to speak to both. Right, not primarily important for the time being. Priest first. I said that the priest foremost primarily so is vital to me. Yes, he is. I did not consider such earlier this morning. I do by now. Yes, it can do no harm. No, of course not. We must find something that harnesses goodness and light. Yes, brings you rest and peace. We need you to make music again. He is the beginning of the new hope to me. I do think so. To bring light to you. If I go to him, I cannot bring to him certain things relative to me, to my past. That is, I cannot affirm them as though not again any further. You're born a Catholic, I think. Otherwise ineffective he will then be to me. I was born into my household of Protestant non-denominational Christianity. Same as myself. I understand otherwise a very bad religion to affirm. Heresy completely so, fraud, and treason. So the Catholic priest may be the one. Absolute madness comes about otherwise to the truth seeker. The Catholic priest, the sacraments are vital to me to receive, to obtain. I'm already baptized, yes. This can only have been obtained once. There's the second sacrament, so there's especially so the weekly sacrament of the Eucharist. But would you embrace Catholicism? Convert, take comfort in confession. Take confession in the confidence of the priest. I might convert to such, I might need to. There's truth everywhere, a part of this religion that is showing itself to me by now. Yes, I might wholly do so. It is the only true Christian system. All others came after. It is first. Yes, it is. I feel it might be for you. I feel this need, a yearning. The only true religious system is deeply spiritual and cleansing. Yes, yes. I had begun affirming of it, Catholicism, Christianity. And the truth had begun showing itself to me. I think I saw it too, some time ago. Clearly, if you are to affirm of truth, then you have an exceeding amount of error and sin to repent from at this point in time. I had a feeling that it was drawing you in. I had a feeling of such too, as though almost always throughout my life experience. That is what it can wipe away. It can wipe away any sin, give absolution and hope. I cannot deny it any further. I cannot affirm of what otherwise is production of malevolence and hatred and self-affirmation. Greatness, falsehood, of course, absolutely so. Then begets, binds, smallness. Your true harvest, absolutely so. I see it clearly everywhere. Yes, do it, darling. Give absolution. Yes, obtain it. I must. I think it is calling you to. Yes, I will do so. I'm relieved. My feelings for you will never change, never alter. I will always be in your life. Merciful you are, always eternally. Thank you, love. I will help again financially when I can. You will always be in my life, always everywhere. Lovely when you can, assuredly. I won't let things get desperate. You can rely on me. You will not. Gracious love you are to me. I can rely on you. I will continue to rely on you always, forever. Gratefully, ever so. Always and forever. Remember my words when you are in depths. They are meant to lift you. I'll remember your words always and forever. I send you my love, darling. My strong, maternal love tonight. Mighty and proud and strong. My love to you I send in return. My love, thank you. Thank you for being in my life. Kisses. April 16, 2013.